movie Bridesmaids is a heartfelt movie about friends and trust, combined with the stress of a wedding and the planning that goes on within that. It's about how friends are not always based on who you have known the longest, but sometimes on who you love the most and trust the most. Sometimes it's about a connection, an instant one that you can't describe. And sometimes it's a combination of that connection and memories for a lifetime. This movie's about life and how sometimes people come and go, but it's also about finding yourself. It has a mostly female cast with only about 2 predominant male speaking roles, showing just how successful a female cast can be, getting a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, an 85% like rating on Google, and a 5 out of 5 on Radio Times. Yes, this movie has a love component to it, but as an author named Sukhdev Sandhu says in Telegraph, it's not Sex in the City. It's heaving with gags about puking and pooping, but also the longer it goes on, it develops into a surprisingly poignant evocation about self-loneliness. He says it's spot on. This movie is about being alone and hitting rock bottom, which main character Annie, played by Kristen Wiig, goes through. She feels like she's losing her childhood best friend to a new work bestie. She loses her job due to snapping at a customer due to stress. Her roommate kicks her out, and she moves back home. On top of this, she's trying to find out who she is as a person. She wants love, as does anyone in the world, but is looking for it from a guy who just wants her for her body and for sex. He even calls her his F-buddy at one point during the film, in front of a group of people. Annie wants to feel love and actually validated by a man, and frankly by anyone, and her best friend, who she feels as though is slipping away more and more. Annie goes on to discover loving and appreciating herself in doing so. Validation from others is great, but actually believing and loving yourself is a whole new level that Annie and a lot of others search for day in and day out. Not to spoil it, but like most romantic comedies, the girl gets the guy. But there is one standout female character who doesn't search for that at all throughout the film. In fact, she carries her own very well, taking on predominantly male jobs and sporting a tougher exterior. This character is Megan, who's played by Melissa McCarthy. Sandhu, the author from earlier, states, Megan has an unconventional take on female traditions, which is signaled by her desire for a Fight Club-themed bridal shower. At one point in the film, Megan and Annie have a pretty heartfelt conversation, where Megan starts to physically beat on Annie, pretending she's life. Megan goes on to say that, along the lines of, that you can't go through life expecting it to just be bad and deal with it. You need to fight back. She's showing Annie that it's okay to be single, jobless, a woman, by herself, but you need to fight back and not feel sorry for yourself. Megan is the type of character who you would originally laugh along with unless you really think about it. She is a powerfully determined woman. Another really important character is Helen, Annie's frenemy, Annie's best friend's new work BFF. According to Robert Ebert, Helen is one of those people who at birth was placed in charge of everything for everyone. I couldn't agree more with that wording. Helen's the type of person who has a connection with everyone and can and will make something happen. However, she's also the type of person who tries to help, but in turn makes some, and in this case, makes Annie feel very undetermined to get her lifelong friend back. It shows all types of people in the world, the types of friends you can have. Overall, this movie is very versatile. It shows that women, as Egbert puts, women are the equal of men in vulgarity, sexual frankness, lust, vulnerability, overdrinking, and insecurity. And it moves into areas not available to men. For example, the scene where they're all trying on dresses at a bridal shop, and the lunch they just shared suddenly reappears, if you get my drift. It shows how women can have a drive for sex, wanting lust with love, while also trying to find love within themselves. It's a real movie with real emotions, feelings, desires, friendships that anyone can relate to. And it shows that women are not just put in this box, this category of needing to look prim and proper all the time, and for having a relationship, and for having a job, and for doing this, doing that. They can be their own independent selves and can still be successful.